My cousin moved into my cabin without warning. So I locked it remotely and watched from my phone as she showed up with her EX and a locksmith. I was shocked by what happened next. I was about 6 days into my 10-day rotation on the Alaska rig when I got that gut punch from a screen. It was around 11:30 at night. I was dead tired, sore from the triple shift, just trying to wind down with a microwave burrito and check my home cameras like I always did. My name's Roman. I'm 29 years old, and when I'm not climbing around offshore oil rigs or running drills, I live in a quiet cabin in the middle of nowhere, Kalispell, Montana. I built that place from the ground up with my own hands. It's not fancy, but it's mine. I pulled up the live feed on my phone and nearly dropped it. There was movement inside the house. Now, normally I wouldn't panic over motion alerts. Sometimes a branch outside swings into view or a spider crawls across the lens. But this wasn't that. This was a woman. Indoors, dragging a box across my living room floor. I squinted at the grainy feed. Long dark hair, faded hoodie, black yoga pants. My stomach dropped. It was Ivy, my cousin. I hadn't seen Ivy in over a year. Some awkward Christmas visit when she showed up late and left early with some guy who reeked of weed and wouldn't make eye contact with anyone. We weren't close. Never had been. So why the hell was she in my house? I watched, stunned, as she came back into frame with another box. She set it down, looked around like she was getting comfy, then walked over to the kitchen. 5 minutes later, I watched her heat up something in the microwave. She even opened my fridge like she knew where everything was. I tried calling her right then. Straight to voicemail. I sent a text. Ivy, what the hell are you doing in my house? No reply. I tried again. Then again. Nothing. She wasn't just visiting. She was moving in. Over the next hour, I watched from 3,000 miles away as she unpacked random things from her duffel bag, set up a gaming console in the living room, rearranged the couch pillows like she lived there. At one point, she even took out a candle from her box and lit it on my dining room table. One of those tacky ones from that overpriced chain store she used to drag me into at the mall. I sat on my cot, in the middle of a freezing Alaskan work trailer, watching this surreal scene unfold in my cabin. The place I go to disappear, to recover, to be left alone. And now Ivy was in it, barefoot, eating something from a bowl and scrolling through her phone like she owned the place. I didn't sleep that night. I just lay there, phone in hand, flipping between security feeds and text threads, my chest tightening more with every passing hour. I ran through every possibility. Maybe she had a breakdown. Maybe she got evicted. Maybe she thought I'd be cool with it since I was rarely home. But none of that changed the one fact I couldn't shake. She was in my house, without my permission, and she wasn't leaving. By sunrise, I had already made my decision. I hadn't slept a minute, just stared at the ceiling of the rig bunk, gripping my phone, watching Ivy settle into my house like it was hers. She was asleep now, curled up on my couch under the throw blanket I kept from my grandma. That was the final straw. I pulled up the app for my cabin's smart home system. Climate, cameras, locks, everything controlled remotely. And I hit the button. Lockdown initiated. Doors, locked. Windows, locked. Interior alarms, armed. Front gate, sealed. 2 minutes later, my phone rang. Ivy. Her voice came through hot and loud. Roman, what the hell did you do? I can't open the doors. The keypad says access denied. I kept my voice even. You're not supposed to be there, Ivy. There was a pause, then an incredulous scoff. Oh my God, are you serious right now? You really locked me inside. You broke into my house. She didn't even try to deny it. Just shifted tactics like she always did when we were kids. I didn't break in, okay? I used the code you gave Aunt Mel last summer when she came to check on the plumbing. I needed somewhere to go. I didn't think you'd freak out like this. Ivy, I said slowly. You didn't think to ask first? You weren't going to be back for, 2 weeks. It's not like you even live there full time. I thought it'd be fine. My jaw clenched. You thought it'd be fine to move into my house without permission? Eat my food? Use my stuff? You act like I trashed the place. I cleaned up. I've been doing the dishes, Roman. I even vacuumed. I let that sit for a moment. That's not the point. She went quiet for a beat. Then her tone turned sharper. Look, I left Damien. It was messy, okay? I didn't have anywhere to go. I figured it's family. You'd understand. You figured wrong. You're being so dramatic about this. I didn't steal anything. I just needed time to sort stuff out. You're always gone anyway. That hit me sideways. The entitlement in her voice wasn't just frustrating, it was surreal. You crossed a line, I said firmly. Get out. Today. She laughed bitterly. Wow. Nice to know where I stand. You know what? Screw you, Roman. Maybe if you actually acted like family once in a while, I wouldn't have to barge into your precious little hermit shack. The call ended with a hard click. I stared at the screen. My hands were shaking, but not from fear, just from the boiling pressure of knowing this was only the beginning. I checked the cameras again around noon the next day. I'd been refreshing the feed every couple hours, hoping she'd finally taken the hint and left. But no. There she was, pacing near the front door with her phone pressed to her ear, clearly annoyed. Then a truck pulled up. My stomach dropped when I saw the logo on the side. Flathead Valley Mobile Locksmith. Ivy rushed outside barefoot to greet him like they were old friends. And behind him, climbing out of the passenger side, was someone I hadn't seen in almost 2 years, Damien. Her so-called ex. He was holding a red toolbox. My heart kicked into overdrive. I zoomed in on the feed, watching as Damien walked up to the locked front door, crouched down, and started pointing at the smart lock panel like he was about to pop it open. I hit the sheriff's number before I could even think twice. Hi. Yeah, this is Roman Barrett. I own a cabin out off Big Mountain Road. I'm not home right now, but I'm watching my security feed. Someone's trying to break into my house. The dispatcher asked a few quick questions. I gave them Ivy's full name, Damien's too, and confirmed I had video evidence. Deputies are en route, she said. Back on the camera, I saw Ivy talking animatedly to the locksmith, gesturing toward the lock and pretending to be calm, but her foot was tapping nervously. Damien leaned in and said something I couldn't hear. The locksmith hesitated. It looked like he was asking for ID. Ivy handed him something. 10 minutes passed. Then I saw it, blue and red lights cutting through the trees. The cruiser rolled up slow, tires crunching the gravel. 2 deputies stepped out. Ivy's smile vanished. Damien stood up fast and tucked his hands in his hoodie pockets. I watched it all unfold through the feed. One deputy spoke to the locksmith, the other started asking Ivy questions. I couldn't hear anything, but the body language said enough. She looked cornered. Damien kept his head down, barely talking. Eventually, the locksmith threw his hands up and walked away. He packed up his tools and got back in his truck. The deputies walked Ivy and Damien down the driveway. Not arrested, but definitely not allowed to stay. They were escorted off the property. I took screenshots of everything. Every frame. I even started a folder on my laptop. Cabin incident, Ivy. This wasn't just a family mess anymore. This was criminal. She had escalated it from boundary crossing to full-on trespassing and attempted unlawful entry. For the first time since this whole thing started, the fear shifted. It wasn't just about hurt feelings or betrayal. It was about risk. Danger. She brought him back. She tried to break in. And I knew, deep down, she wasn't done yet. The call from my mom came that same evening, just after sunset. I should have let it go to voicemail, but I didn't. Roman Barrett. She snapped before I could say hello. What on God's green earth did you think you were doing calling the police on your own cousin? I was standing outside the rigged trailer, the sky dimming over the ice-cold gravel lot, phone pressed tight to my ear. She tried to break into my house, Mom. She brought Damien and a locksmith. What else was I supposed to do? You humiliated her, she said, voice shaking, not from sadness, but rage. In front of a stranger and the police? You made it look like she was some criminal. She is, I said flatly. She broke in. Twice. And Damien's not exactly a harmless sidekick. Or did you forget the time he stole from Grandma's purse? That was years ago, she hissed. People change. Not Ivy, I said. She moved into my house, Mom. Without asking. While I was 3,000 miles away. Oh, please. It's not like you ever use the place. You're always off playing roughneck somewhere. I bit down on my tongue, so hard it nearly bled. But the anger simmering underneath? That was boiling. An hour later, the group chats lit up. First came my Aunt Nancy. This could have been handled privately. Family doesn't air dirty laundry like this. Then Cousin Mel chimed in. You really had Ivy escorted out? What happened to having each other's backs? Even Uncle Don, who I hadn't heard from since 2019, decided to weigh in with some gem about loyalty and blood ties. I typed out a response. Deleted it. Typed another. Deleted that too. Eventually, I posted a short message. Anyone who wants to defend Ivy's right to break into my house can kindly stay out of it. This isn't a misunderstanding. It's trespassing. Only one person messaged me privately, my older half-brother, Dean. Don't let them wear you down. You're right. I've got your back. It meant more than I wanted to admit. Later that night, I saw Ivy's social media. She posted a filtered selfie of herself on some friend's couch with a caption that read, Crazy how people switch up when you need them most. Lesson learned. Hundreds of likes. Dozens of comments full of heart emojis and, you deserve better, replies. Meanwhile, I sent formal authorization to my property manager in Kalispell. Deny entry to anyone but Roman Barrett. No exceptions. I changed every lock code. Updated the alarm passphrase. Scheduled a full system reset for when I got back. They could talk all they wanted, but they wouldn't be getting back in. Not again. 2 days later, Ivy called me out of nowhere. I debated answering, but curiosity, or maybe some stupid hope that she'd finally apologize, got the better of me. Hey, she said, sounding calm. almost cheerful. I didn't say anything. She sighed. Look, I just wanted to clear the air, okay? Things got kind of intense. Kind of. I replied, voice flat. You moved into my house and tried to break in with your boyfriend and a locksmith. Damien's not my boyfriend, she said quickly. Well, it's complicated. I waited. She let out another breath. Okay. I lied. We didn't break up. We got evicted. From our apartment in Missoula. Of course they did. We didn't have anywhere to go, Roman. You think I wanted to show up at your cabin like that? We were desperate. I didn't answer. She continued. I figured you wouldn't be back for a while and, look, I didn't think you'd even notice. We just needed a place to land until we got back on our feet. Then why didn't you call me? I asked. Because I knew you'd say no, she said, like it was obvious. And Damien thought maybe we could just keep it low-key. Not mess anything up. Just lay low. I ran a hand over my face. I felt tired in a way I couldn't shake. We used your address, she added, like it was nothing. For a couple things. My stomach turned. What kind of things? She hesitated. Some loan stuff. Just a couple of applications. Damien's credit is shot, and your place makes us look more stable. We never meant for it to go through. It was just to get pre-approved. You used my house, my legal address, for loan applications? My voice was low now. Without telling me? It wasn't a big deal, she said quickly. It's not like we forged your signature or anything. We just needed a real address. Something legit. I couldn't even respond. My brain was buzzing with alarms. I opened my laptop while we were still on the call and started pulling up my credit monitoring. You didn't do anything else, right? I asked, trying to keep my voice from shaking. There was a pause. A long one. Well, I think Damien might have used your info to boost a small business app. But I swear, we didn't submit anything. I hung up without another word. Then I spent the next 3 hours on the phone, Experian, TransUnion, Equifax. I froze all my credit lines, flagged my SSN, added fraud alerts to every account I had. What Ivy admitted wasn't desperation. It was a plan. A stupid, sloppy plan, but one that could ruin me. They hadn't just used my space. They used my name, my life. And this wasn't over. Not even close. I got back to Kalispell 4 days later. It was nearly midnight when I pulled into my driveway. The air was sharp and quiet, the kind of cold that bit through your jacket. I stood there for a second, just staring at the front door, wondering if it would even feel like mine anymore. The inside was clean. Too clean. Ivy had wiped away all signs she'd ever been there, but I still felt it. Like the air itself had been touched. Like some part of my privacy had been permanently stained. The next morning, I opened the mailbox, and everything changed. Inside was a plain white envelope addressed to Roman Barrett from some bank I didn't recognize. The return address was in Bozeman. I figured it was more junk mail. I nearly tossed it. Then I saw the words. Application denied. Business loan. I froze. I hadn't applied for any loans. Ever. I tore it open and felt my chest tighten as I read the first line. We regret to inform you that your application for a $40,000 line of credit has been declined. I flipped to the attached details. It had everything. My full name, my social security number, my current address, and a set of fabricated tax returns I'd never seen in my life. They'd even attached a copy of a fake LLC registration with my name on it. Someone had gone to serious lengths. I called the fraud hotline immediately, my hands shaking as I spoke. After that, I drove straight to the sheriff's office. I handed over everything, printouts of the security footage, a copy of the loan denial, screenshots of Ivy's confession from our call, and a log of every text and email exchange. The deputy behind the desk raised his eyebrows. This isn't just squatting, he said. This is full-blown identity theft. He walked me through the report, taking down every detail. When I mentioned Damien, he jotted the name quickly. We've had him on file before. Petty stuff. This is bigger. I filed an official police report and walked out into the freezing afternoon sun feeling hollow. That night, I called Ivy. She picked up on the third ring. Ivy, I said quietly, I got a loan denial letter. In my name. With my social. My tax info. Silence. I filed a report. It's already in the system. That's when she cracked. It wasn't supposed to go that far, she blurted. I didn't know he used your social. I swear, Roman. I didn't know. I didn't say anything. I thought it was just for the pre-qualifications. Just a document to look serious. He said they'd never pull the credit without authorization. I cut her off. You were in on it. Don't pretend you weren't. You knew what this meant. Her voice broke. I just wanted a fresh start. We didn't have anything left. You had me, I said. And you used me. The call ended with her crying into the line. I sat there in the dark, the phone still warm in my hand, wondering how much of myself I had left to protect and how long it would take to rebuild what she'd shattered. The next morning, I called a lawyer. Her name was Carol Dwyer, sharp as a tack and no nonsense. I told her everything. The unauthorized use of my identity, the surveillance footage, the phone call where Ivy admitted to letting Damien apply for loans in my name. I handed her the police report and every document I had. Carol didn't waste time sugarcoating it. You need to lock everything down, Roman. New passwords, new security settings, new locks. Assume they've seen more than you think. I spent the next 2 days doing exactly that. Every smart device in the cabin replaced. I swapped out my entire home security system, right down to the doorbell. Changed every online password, added 2-factor authentication to everything, set up alerts for any credit activity over $5. It felt like sealing up a house after a hurricane. The wind might have passed, but the damage wasn't done. Meanwhile, Ivy started blowing up my phone again. First, it was apologetic. Roman, please just talk to me. I made a mistake. I'm sorry, okay? Then came the guilt. You don't know what we were going through. Damien's been out of work for months. I just wanted to feel safe somewhere. Then she flipped. You're acting like a victim when you're the one with the house and the job and everything. We're family. Families don't call the cops on each other. Every message felt like another little stab, another manipulation wrapped in a hug. But she never once admitted fault. Not really. Not for the loan. Not for the address. Not for letting Damien steal my identity like it was a pair of sneakers. I stopped replying altogether. I called the sheriff's office to make sure my case was still active. They confirmed it was. Damien hadn't been picked up yet, but they were monitoring things. Whatever that meant. I also filed a formal no-contact notice through Carol, sent by certified mail to Ivy and Damien. No visits. No calls. No coming near my property. After that, the silence felt almost unnatural. But it didn't last. My mom called the next week. She's your cousin, Roman, she said, like that was supposed to make it all okay. You're really going to carry this forever? Be the cruel one. The cruel one? I asked. She committed fraud. She used my identity. That's a felony. She didn't mean to, Mom insisted, like that erased it all. She just needed help. I hung up on her. Because the truth was, my mother didn't want to face what Ivy had done. She just didn't want the family to look broken. She'd rather patch over everything with emotional duct tape and pretend the walls weren't caving in. But I wasn't living under that roof anymore. I was building my own. And this time, I was the only one with the keys. I had every reason to press charges. I had the documents, the footage, the lawyer, and the full weight of the law behind me. If I wanted to, I could have taken Ivy and Damien all the way to court and watched them drown in fines, restitution, maybe even jail time. Part of me wanted that. I really did. But in the end, I didn't do it. I didn't do it for the same reason I built that cabin in the first place, to have peace. So instead of court dates and cross-examinations, I sent a final message through Carol, letting Ivy know the police report stood, and if I ever saw her or Damien again on my property, in my town, anywhere near my name, then and only then, would I bring everything down on them? And after that, I deleted her number, blocked every family group chat, muted my mom. Then I packed my duffel, updated my emergency contacts, and started getting ready for my next offshore job. I needed out of town, not just for work, but for clarity. The last few weeks had stripped away something I didn't even realize I'd been carrying. The belief that people in your life, just because they're blood, are supposed to protect you. Turned out, family can be just as dangerous as strangers, sometimes worse, because they already know where the doors are. My half-brother Dean helped me move a few things out of storage. Brought me coffee. Didn't ask questions. That was the kind of support I could live with. Simple. Quiet. No strings. A couple of old friends reached out too. Guys from my first rig job down in Texas. One of them even sent me a care package with beef jerky and a note that just said, "We miss your grumpy ass. Come visit." I smiled for the first time in weeks reading that. Back at the cabin, I finished the last of my upgrades. Installed a backup generator. Put cameras in the trees. Wired an external drive that recorded off-grid. No more trusting the cloud. No more trusting anyone, really. And you know what? It felt good. Not paranoid. Just smart. One night before leaving for Alaska again, I sat on my porch with a beer and just listened to the wind through the pines. No texts. No calls. Just stillness. That's when it hit me. This wasn't about Ivy anymore. Or Damien. Or even my mom. It was about boundaries. About dignity. About reclaiming my own damn life. They took from me, sure. But I wasn't broken. Not even close. I was still standing. Stronger, colder maybe, but clearer. And for the first time in years, I wasn't waiting on anyone to explain themselves, to apologize, or to love me better. I had my name back. My house. My future. And that was enough.